All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're focusing on something truly monumental, the race to erase breast cancer. If you look at the research over the last 30 years, we've seen mortality rates drop by over 40%, which is absolutely phenomenal. But the fight is far from over. Today, we're going to explore the rapid, groundbreaking advancements happening right now across the entire spectrum of care. We're talking everything from how we detect it and how we might one day prevent it, all the way to incredibly precise new treatments. But first, let's talk about why this matters so urgently right now. 1.4%. According to recent data, while breast cancer rates overall are creeping up, the rate in women under 50 is rising much faster, by 1.4% every single year. And because younger women generally fall outside the standard, older age-based screening guidelines, they're unfortunately often diagnosed at later stages. This demographic shift is exactly why we desperately need the new technologies we're discussing today. And this demographic shift brings a compounding challenge. Women under 40 aren't just facing more diagnoses, they're increasingly being diagnosed with more aggressive, poor prognosis cancer types, specifically triple-negative breast cancer, or TNBC. TNBC is notorious for having high metabolic demands to sustain rapid tumor growth, and it traditionally leaves patients with way fewer targeted treatment options. So that sets up an absolute urgency for the medical breakthroughs we're about to unpack. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. 1. AI-powered risk assessment. 2. Vaccines, stopping cancer early. 3. Targeted precision treatments. And 4. Advanced blood-based markers. Section 1, AI-powered risk assessment, redefining screening. So we're fundamentally moving away from outdated, purely age-based guidelines to highly personalized, risk-based screening. Enter Clairity Breast AI. This is a newly FDA-approved artificial intelligence platform that can actually predict a patient's 5-year risk of developing breast cancer using just a single mammogram. It was trained on millions of mammograms and has learned to spot incredibly subtle patterns that are literally invisible to the human eye. The data is so compelling that the National Comprehensive Cancer Network recently introduced new guidelines recommending screening as early as age 35 for women identified as higher risk by models exactly like this. Now, you might be wondering, are we safe moving away from a blanket everyone gets screened at 40 approach? Well, the massive Wisdom trial proved exactly that. By comparing age-based screening with personalized risk-based screening, which factors in things like genetics, family history, breast density, and race, researchers found that stratifying screening intensity by your individual risk is just as safe as annual screening. It allows the medical community to focus intense early screening on those who actually need it most. Section 2. Vaccines, stopping cancer early. The key concept you need to grasp here is interception. When we talk about cancer vaccines in this context, we aren't talking about a traditional cure for a massive existing tumor. Interception means proactively training your immune system to stop the cancer before it fully develops. It's basically a proactive defense mechanism designed to intervene at the exact moment a normal cell starts mutating into a cancer cell. Now, let's stay grounded in the facts here. While there are over a dozen vaccine studies underway, which is amazing, building on over 20 years of immunological research, these are still in the clinical trial phase. Currently, trials are looking at people with DCIS, which is a stage 0 precancer condition in the milk ducts, as well as folks with high genetic risks, like BRCA gene carriers. The early immune responses are incredibly promising, but it's really important to keep in mind that these interception vaccines are still years away from full FDA approval and widespread public use. Section 3. Targeted precision treatments. We're currently at the vanguard of this new era with what's called an antibody-drug conjugate, or ADC. I absolutely love this analogy because it makes a really complex medical concept so accessible. Think of an ADC as your body's internal SEAL team, or like a microscopic smart bomb. Instead of flooding your whole body with toxins, it uses specialized antibodies to carry chemotherapy payloads directly to the cancer cells. Let's break down this brilliant mechanism into 3 simple steps. First, the antibody seeks out and targets a specific protein found on the surface of the cancer cell, like the TROP2 or HER2 proteins. Second, once it attaches, it delivers the chemotherapy payload directly inside that specific cell. And third, because the chemo is contained, it largely spares the surrounding healthy tissue. Truly game-changing stuff. You see, traditional chemotherapy has long been a scorched earth approach. It kills the cancer, sure, but it attacks healthy, fast-growing cells in its path, causing severe side effects. We're now replacing that with targeted ADC precision. A perfect recent example of this is Datroway. This ADC was recently FDA approved to treat metastatic triple-negative breast cancer for patients who just aren't candidates for standard immunotherapy. It offers a precise, potent new weapon against one of the most aggressive forms of the disease. And science never sleeps, right? We're already seeing the next evolution, bispecific ADCs. These are drugs engineered to hit two different cancer targets at the exact same time, effectively cutting off the tumor's escape routes. In a recent phase 3 study, a bispecific drug called Isobrand showed a staggering 71% improvement in progression-free survival times for people battling metastatic TNBC compared to traditional chemotherapy. And beyond ADCs, precision is advancing across the board. We're also seeing new oral drugs specifically designed to target mutated estrogen receptors, or ESR1, providing incredible targeted options for a subset of estrogen receptor-positive HER2-negative breast cancers. The precision of modern treatments is just getting sharper and sharper. Section 4. Advanced blood-based markers. The cornerstone of this advanced monitoring is the liquid biopsy. Instead of an invasive tissue procedure, this is just a simple blood test. It turns out cancer cells actually release tiny fragments of their DNA right into your bloodstream. A liquid biopsy acts as an advanced early warning system, detecting these microscopic fragments long before a new tumor would ever be large enough to show up on a traditional MRI or CT scan. So what does this actually mean for saving lives? Look at the landmark SERENA-6 trial, which involved over 3,000 patients. Doctors used regular liquid biopsies to monitor the patient's blood. Because they detected a specific treatment-resistant mutation, that ESR1 mutation we just talked about, in the blood early on, they were able to proactively switch the patient's therapy before there was any visible sign of disease progression. By making that switch based purely on the blood marker, they extended progression-free survival by nearly 7 months, and patients reported overall quality of life scores more than 3 times higher than the control group. Plus, the scope of blood testing is rapidly expanding. Beyond detecting specific active mutations, doctors are increasingly using genetic and polygenic risk scores to identify entirely new groups of people who may benefit from earlier or much more intensive screening. It's proactive, real-time medicine in action. Section 5. Looking ahead, a hopeful future. All right, I want to make sure we summarize this explainer with a very clear hope versus hype framing. If we look at what's available today, Clairity AI for predicting 5-year risk is FDA approved and available in select locations. Targeted ADC drugs like Datroway and Enhertu are also FDA approved and currently being used in clinics right now. On the other hand, interception vaccines designed to stop cancer at stage 0 and the widespread use of real-time liquid biopsies to alter daily treatment plans are still rigorously working their way through clinical trials. They are the hopeful future for sure, but they aren't at your local pharmacy just yet. But make no mistake, research truly is moving at light speed. We're pushing breast cancer care away from a one-size-fits-all model toward approaches that are highly personalized, incredibly precise, and much less invasive. For the younger women facing rising rates and aggressive subtypes, this combined arsenal of AI screening, targeted therapies, advanced blood-based markers, and eventual vaccines offers massive, factual, and tangible hope. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. As the science moves at light speed and the tools at our disposal become more and more tailored to the individual, how will you take charge of your own personalized breast health? Armed with this new knowledge about risk assessment and genetic markers, it might just be the perfect time to have a new, highly informed conversation with your own healthcare provider. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.